you, Ben? That's Ben.
Okay.
All right, let me start this. Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day here in Bronie's world. And at Bronie's desk today, we have the amazing and my dear friend, Pharmacist Ben, who put us a little late today, but that's okay. I have quite a few things that I had a couple of things I've sent him to talk about, but to start with, though, just to start with, Ben, last fortnight, Kevin Grundy, whom I wish was on, but he'll probably pop on when he remembers, had asked you to compare or your thoughts on our new body balance that's coming with Light Force, and it's the difference between it and the FucoidZ, our fucoidan that which we have had in our system for quite some time. And they're important things because I've had actually a few people ask me about this as well. So with no further ado, Ben, handing it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. What's the name of the company? Life Force, right?
Light Force, yes. They are our new company that's coming to longevity with us.
Okay. So first of all, algae, of which fucoidan is an algae, obviously most people know, and which is the active ingredient in the body balance, are very healing and very medicinal. And that's because they contain something called meaning many, saccharides. Polysaccharides are long chains of sugar. They're not sweet. Like when we think of sugar, we ordinarily think of sweet. They're not sweet. They're more like a chemical sugar. The term sugar is a chemical term. And they have tremendous medicinal properties in general. They not only have tremendous medicinal properties, healing properties, wound healing properties particularly, among other things, not only wound healing, but among other things, but they also are nutritional. They also contain all the nutrients that a human being needs or an animal needs because they're cells. Remember how we always talk about everything's about the cell?
Yes.
It's the whole story. And we always say eggs are the perfect food because they're cells. And so they have everything a cell needs. Algae are the same way. They have everything a cell needs because we're made up of cells and all disease is cell disease, as we said so many times. You think of an algae as like a multi-nutrient specifically designed for cells, a cellular vitamin or cellular supplement, nutritional supplement, if you will. It doesn't just have vitamins, it has amino acids, it has the essential fatty acids, it has all the minerals in just the right form, like plant-derived. They're essentially plant-derived minerals. It's just a magnificent source of nutrition in addition to being healing, activating the immune system, healing wounds. And keep in mind, when we have damage, a wound, we think of a wound, we think of wounded skin, but when you have a wound, you have wounds inside your body too. And this is what accounts for inflammation. So by using algae, you're going to heal the wounds inside your body that precede chronic degenerative disease, that oftentimes precede autoimmune diseases or diabetes or GI problems. And speaking of gastrointestinal problems, these algae also soothe and coat, the polysaccharides, I should say, soothe and coat the intestine for people who are dealing with leaky gut, right? We always say how leaky gut is the source.
Or IBS, well,
or IBS or celiac or Crohn's, all of that. Right. So you're talking about a tremendously valuable nutrient that's completely non-toxic. I mean, when you think about when modern medicine thinks about healing and medicine, when the modern medical model thinks about medicine, they all know about medicine, but they all have side effects and adverse reactions. Here you've got a nutrient that is healing at the most fundamental level there is, the level of the gut, but it's completely non-toxic. You don't have to worry about it. You take as much of it as you want, as much FucoidZ or as much body balance as you want. But it's even more than that. There are also algae, polysaccharides, are blood thinners. Remember, all disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty blood is clogged, sludgy, inflamed blood. Polysaccharides spread out red blood cells, so they thin the blood. They have blood thinning properties. They have immune boosting properties. They have anti-diabetic properties. They have anti-blood fat properties. They support healing. They're important for the lining of the intestine. You've got this incredible, and they're antibacterial, antimicrobial on top of everything else. You got this incredible substance that's good for everything, and it's nutritional, it's medicinal and therapeutic, and it's nutritional, and it's completely non-toxic. And as if all that's not enough, It's the most abundant substance on Earth.
Go ahead.
What? You know, this is incredible. And one of the reasons why companies like Body Balance have it out is because the substance is so abundant. It's everywhere. So you've got this incredibly valuable medicinal, therapeutic, nutritionally viable, non-toxic, abundant, cheap substance. Everybody should be using Body Balance. Everybody should be using FucoidZ. Not just if you're sick. You know, we have this idea about supplementation and nutrition and some of these non-nutritional supplements like the FucoidZ and Body Balance that you have to be sick to benefit. No, they're great for everybody. It's a tonic, a health tonic for everybody. And that's because of the power of the polysaccharide and the power of the algae cell that we call algae. Now, Body Balance itself has other things in it. In addition to the algae, which include fucoidan, by the way, you're getting aloe vera. And aloe vera is another one of those ubiquitous, abundant substances that's polysaccharide rich. And this is why aloe vera has a reputation for being so multifunctional and healing, right? It's good for everything. There are people who use aloe vera just as a tonic. It's good for everything. Why is it good for everything? Because it's polysaccharides. By the way, polysaccharides are especially prominent in substances that are near or attractive to water, that need water, because polysaccharides attract water like a sponge. If you feel your ear, squeeze your ear, Bronie. I can't see anybody else. I can see you. Feel that squishy feeling?
Yes.
That's kind of squishy. That squishiness is what polysaccharide plus water feels like. Polysaccharide without water is just kind of a powder, but when you add water to it, it becomes like squishy, like your ear. And so polysaccharides are found in nature either where there's lots and lots of water or where there's no water or less water. That's why they're found in cactuses and aloe vera, because aloe vera and cactuses have to trap water. That's why they're found in water, because they support the viability of the organism when it's swimming in a lot of water, because they can suck up water. In other words, the ability of a polysaccharide to suck up water helps organisms that are swimming in water so that they can remain viable and structured, because it'll suck up the water. And they're important for organisms that don't have a lot of water, because they suck up the water and can store the water. That makes sense? You follow?
Yeah.
So you find them in fish and seafood, or not seafood, but sea creatures, we'll say. And you'll also find them in algae also, and you'll also find them in desert plants like cactuses and aloe vera, which is a type of cactus, I think. Maybe wrong.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's a type of cactus. So you'll find them.
I class it as a type of cactus.
What's that?
I class aloe vera as a type of cactus.
I think it's a type of cactus. Also, polysaccharides plus water are very electrically active. The combination of water with polysaccharides generate electrical charges, and when you squeeze your ear like that, you're actually generating a micro voltage in your ear. This micro voltage that's created by squeezing is the end result of a type of electricity called piezoelectricity. And because your body is filled with polysaccharides, every time you move, you're generating electrical charges via this piezoelectric effect. So anytime you can ingest polysaccharides, it's going to be in your interest. FucoidZ is just that, and Body Balance as well is just that. But Body Balance has other things in it. In addition to aloe vera, it also has honey in it. It also has, I'm going by memory here. I think that's most of it. There's elderberry in there also, which is an immune booster. But basically, it's the aloe vera and it's the they call it the sea vegetable blend. I think the honey, which has some activity too, is mostly antimicrobial as well as improves the taste. Honey's got a whole nother wound healing and antimicrobial spectrum of benefits that are important for good health. But mostly it's the various algae, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin knows more about than I do. I think there's 9 different algae in the Body Balance, plus you get the aloe vera. FucoidZ and the Z radical are a little bit different. The FucoidZ, and again, I'm going by memory, has a B vitamin in it, has vitamin B12 in it, I think. There might be some zinc in there. But basically, it's the fucoidan, which is one of the polysaccharides that's found in a type of algae, which is generically called bladderwrack, but its technical name is Fucus vesicoleus, Fucus vesiculosis. Kevin can help me with that. He's the herbalist here. I'm not the herbalist, but that's
He is here. I'm trying to get him.
yeah, Fucus
I can't even get
vesiculosis.
my tongue around that. Never mind you.
Vesiculosis. Fucus,
Yeah.
like me, vesiculosis. And that's the technical name. It's bladderwrack. And it's a wonderful, wonderful source of not, as I say, not only nutrition, but also therapeutic value. Plus also, I should mention, it acts as a prebiotic, meaning it helps feed bacteria, feed probiotics. Prebiotics are food for probiotics. So you got all kinds of wonderful benefits from the both of them. If I had to pick one or the other, I pick the FucoidZ because I don't like all the sugar that you get in the Z radical. The Body Balance doesn't have sugar; it has stevia in it, and also the honey. And it does have a wider spectrum of algae, which probably provides a little bit more of a spectrum of benefits than just the FucoidZ. But they're all valuable.
I think they're a great. I think they're a great companion. I think, and depending on what you're
They
fighting
could be a
at the
great
time.
companion. And by the way, FucoidZ is great for wound healing topically. Polysaccharides are great for wound healing. You can make a paste or a gel actually with water and the FucoidZ. You have to break open a couple capsules or 3 capsules and mix them with a little water, and you create a gel and you can put it right on a wound, and it'll accelerate the healing of wounds. You can take it orally; it also has a wound healing benefits too. Likewise with the Body Balance. Did I answer questions there?
Yeah, and if I was dealing with an immune deficiency, i.e. cancer or anything like that, I would be looking at the FucoidZ, and I'd be looking at that at the therapeutic dosing. Where Body Balance is a great introduction. Anybody who's has a bit of a deficiency or whatever, it's a great way of getting people back going again, and as we slowly introduce them to the other great aspects we have with longevity and the 90 for life.
I agree. It's a support. It's like a support. You guys probably heard of the hub and spoke model of longevity products, where the hub of the wheel has the mighty 90 essential nutrients that everybody uses.
I think the flour we use the flour over here.
Flour, right? Same idea. You have a center that has the mighty 90 essential nutrients that everybody needs, and then you have the other products: ultimate enzymes, nightly essence, FucoidZ, now the Body Balance, etc. To kind of come off the hub or the center of the flour, which everybody needs. Is that what you wanted to know? Did I answer your question on that?
Well, I think so, Kevin.
Yeah, just to your opinion on the Body Balance, where it fitted into the equation here. I've always thought it's an add-on. It will never replace the BTT. I don't think anything really can, and the Healthy Start Pack as a whole. But comparing it to the Fucoid, I think they're a companion to one another. I think if you're looking for that big boost, then I think you need the FucoidZ. But if you're looking for a bit of an all-rounder, then with the 9 seaweeds in the Body Balance. And it's a great start. Some people, well, where do you start? And they don't like the orange flavor of the tangy. And you still want to give them a good mix. And you know that the minerals isn't quite enough on its own. So this being mineral-based as well. And it's just a good place. It's a good starting point to get somebody up and running. And then we start educating people. Get them involved with the 90 for Life and understand why we have a start pack and why is it called the start pack,
Why is it called the start pack?
That's where you start.
That's where you start. Exactly. People say, why is it called the start pack?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Well, the problem is that people, you look at us and where do you think what do you think I should take first? Well, that's probably the biggest common question I get. What do you think I should take first? Well, what are you on? Well, nothing. Well, how about the Healthy Start Pack? The name should give it away.
We should change it to the Healthy First Pack, and that's what
exactly.
Healthy First Pack. No, but that's right. The Healthy Start Pack is for everybody, and I really want to emphasize, because we're so focused on sickness, which is important. Obviously, if you're sick, it's important. But healthy people need the stuff too. Healthy people who are working out, people who are young, people who don't have any health challenges, they need nutrition too. This is not just medicinal and therapeutic. This is nutritional for everybody. The standard American diet, or standard Australian diet in your case, is horrifically deficient in almost everything. And if you're subsisting on that, even if you're healthy, you're running risks of trouble down the road, of chronic diseases down the road, which, by the way, leads to the second subject that you want to talk about, which is the HPV subject.
Yes,
Okay.
that is it.
Yeah,
I'm glad
mean,
you saw that note,
yeah,
guys. Thank
yeah, it's
you.
a nice little lead in. Are we done talking? I mean, I don't want to,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So,
that, Ben.
so listen, you know, the doctors, God love them, they're nice people, but you don't know what you don't know. And so they think, like famous behavioral psychologist Alfred Adler said, if everything you have is a hammer, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So to doctors, everything looks medicinal. Everything looks like you need medicine for it. You need drugs for it. HPV obviously is a problem, serious problem. It can cause all kinds of cancer. Actually, cervical cancer is associated with it. But it doesn't happen unless you're immune compromised. It doesn't happen to people who are strong and healthy. It happens to people who have metabolic syndrome, who have long-standing digestive problems, who are immune compromised from nutritional deficiency or other immune load. So what you do with HPV is you don't medicate it or vaccinate it away. That's what they want you to think. And when I say that's what they want you to think, I don't mean they're being manipulative. That's what they want you to think because they don't know any better. So they'll tell you, you need to have this vaccine because you're going to get sick otherwise and die. And I mean that across the board with vaccines, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't get this, you're going to get sick and die. They don't tell you that you're going to get sick and die because you're eating McDonald's and your blood sugar is messed up and you got metabolic syndrome and you're nutritionally deficient and you got a leaky gut. They don't tell you that part. Now, they don't tell you that part not because they're sneaky and manipulative, but because they don't know. And the only problem with the folks who represent the medical model is their arrogance and their chauvinism and their, what medical college did you go to, Bronie? Did you read that on Dr. Google? You know,
No.
that kind of attitude is really where that's really the obnoxious part. But they're not mean people. They're not nefarious people. They're just taught that we're all idiots and they're the only smart ones. So they say, when you say, I don't want to get injected with this stuff, they say, oh, you're going to get cancer because HPV is associated with cancer. Because it never dawns on them that if you're nutritionally competent and you're taking care of your diet and you're not dealing with dysglycemia or diabetes and you don't have other immune loads, you're going to be fine. So the way you deal with infections, viral infections, bacterial infections, which we live in a world of bacteria and viruses, is you strengthen the body, not by inoculation. In fact, there's a lot of controversy. And I don't want to wade into this whole, V word controversy, but one of their things about V word is, oh, polio, oh, smallpox, oh, we eradicated. But what they don't tell you is that the simultaneous with the V that supposedly eradicated polio was improved sanitation, was chlorinated water, was changes in how we ate and supplement and nutrient and fortification of foods. We changed our entire health milieu, our entire health environment. We started to understand the body more and how to understand how to take care of our bodies more, even though a lot of people don't do it, but we certainly understand it more than at the beginning of the 19th century or in the beginning of the 20th century or in the 19th century. And that's really what accounted for the supposed success. And nobody addresses that. So really the answer, once again, always be your own health authority. Take the ball back into your own court. Understand the impact, the connection between lifestyle choices and the body and how the body shows up. That's what it's about. The medical model, like all models and all institutions, wants to empower itself, not the individual doctors I'm not talking about, but the medical model wants to empower itself. So it wants you to think you're helpless without them. Yeah. There's a comedian in, I don't know if you ever heard of this comedian, Emo Phillips. He's famous in the United States in the 1970s. He used to say, he had a funny voice. He used to go, I used to think the brain was my most important organ. And then I remembered what was telling me that. Of course, we think the medical model is all that. Who's telling us that? They are. So our ideas about how wonderful medicine is comes from the people who are selling the medicine. That doesn't come from us. No, they're not helping us. We got more disease, more diabetes, more cancer, more obesity, more autoimmunity, more Parkinson's disease, more dementia, blah, 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 more of everything. And we have more doctors and more drugs and more hospitals and more of everything. So obviously it doesn't work. It's hidden in plain sight. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Long story short, let's be strong here. Let's take this over ourselves. You know, one of the greatest things about our countries, Australia and the United States, this is why Australia and the United States are kind of like, you know, we get along so well, our two countries, is because we all have this kind of mentality of picking yourself up by your bootstraps, not counting on anybody else to carry your water, doing it yourself. We've allowed them to domesticate us. We have allowed the medical model to kill us with comfort. Not just the medical model, but even our whole culture, the whole government society. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Eat whatever you want. We got a drug for that. Don't worry. We got a medicine for that. Don't worry about your female organs. We'll just take that out. We'll give you hormones. Don't worry about your gallbladder. We'll take that out. We'll put you on digestive enzyme medicine or some kind of digestive medicine. Don't worry about that. We got you covered. Just like 500, 600, 700 years ago, priests used to say, don't worry about God. We talk to God. You go ahead. Go about your merry business. Just give us your house and then give us 1/10 of your income and we will talk to God for you. And you can do whatever you want. Our modern medical model is a derivative. It's an extension of that kind of mentality. So bottom line is we can talk about the negative stuff all day long. I don't like talking about the negative stuff. You want to know the negative. The positive stuff is we can do this. All of us. It's in the body's nature to heal. If some medical professional tells you, oh, you're going to be on this medicine the rest of your life, he doesn't know what he's talking about. If some medical professional tells you you have this disease because your mother had it, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They're taking your power away. They're taking our power away from it. And it's not just the medical model, it's also the food people. We should be so angry at Burger King and McDonald's and Pizza Hut and Coca-Cola and General Mills. We should be furious. We should be regarding them as satanic. Get thee, Satan, behind me. They're not our friends. They're killing us and our family and our loved ones every day, and our children every day. They're not our friends. McDonald's is the enemy, and we want to have that mindset. Every time that commercial comes on, you want to regard that as evil. Or you see the golden arches, or any of those things. We're being manipulated. Our strings are being pulled. It's so unfair. It's so mean-spirited. It's so misanthropic and anti-human that it should just really anger us so much that we just say, forget it. I am doing this myself. And how do you do it? The virtues. In fact, how you do it is so easy that we risk it being too easy. It kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Yeah. It's sort of glib. You know, it doesn't sound real, son, because it's so simple. You know, somebody asked me, wants to simplify, you know, pharmacists simplify things. That's one of our specialties. That's why the pharmacist is the most trusted profession, or one of the most trusted professions, because we're trusted to simplify complicated information. So somebody asked me to simplify this whole nutrition and alternative health kind of concept about how you take care of diseases. I said, good stuff in, bad stuff out. That's it. Good stuff in. That means nutrients. That means quality food. That means quality information. That means spirituality, good relationships, quality emotions, mentality, good thinking. Bad stuff out. Anger, rage, hate, jealousy, from a mental and emotional perspective. Atheism, disconnection from God or the Holy Spirit, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. And of course, from a physical perspective, not eating the corporate swill, the poison that isn't fit even for an animal or an insect. That's one of the reasons why insects don't eat cereal. You don't know how there's no cereal. They used to have mealworms in cereal, right? I don't know if anybody remembers this. They would have mealworms. They don't have that anymore because even the worms don't want to eat the cornflakes.
No,
because there's no nutritional value in them. You know, Coca-Cola, try putting an insect or a bug in a Coca-Cola, it'll die. This is what we're ingesting. So don't participate that way. And most of all, have faith that your body knows what it's doing. They want us to think our body is stupid and crazy and doesn't know what's happening, doesn't know what to do, and is just inevitably flawed. And diseases just inevitably happen. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you're going to be on this medicine the rest of your life. It's not true. It's a lie, and it kills people, and it's unfair. And I don't want to, like I say, I don't want to get off on the negative so much, although we have to acknowledge it. The positive is we can all do this. So as far as HPV goes, you asked a question. HPV occurs when you're immune compromised, just like cold sores appear when you're immune compromised, just like shingles appears when you're immune compromised, just like the V that everybody knows about, the one that happened a few years ago, happens when you're immune compromised. Because we're immune compromised, generally, collectively, we get these things. Don't be immune compromised. Good stuff in, bad stuff out. That's my take on HPV.
So the HPV16 goes on to actually, Diane Shelley asked this question. So Diane, can you unmute and come on with me?
Yes, I had a client call me in reference to her daughter, and she's been diagnosed with HPV16.
But you gave it another name. There's something or other virus.
Well, yes, it's the human papilloma virus.
HPV stands for human papilloma virus. Papilloma viruses are a very common virus. There's hundreds of different types of papilloma viruses. They affect primarily the lining of the lining cell. They're called certain cells that line things, like in the skin, mucous membranes, cervix or female reproductive system, the mouth, the throat. Wherever you have mucous membranes, wherever you have epithelia, that's where they tend to affect, and it's spread through skin to skin contact. It's a very weak virus. You gotta get it like skin to skin, which is why it's spreads through sexual contact, because that's skin to skin. So it can also happen through other ways. Skin to skin happens sometimes through the birth canal as the baby's being born. And it has different effects. Some of these papilloma viruses will cause warts on your hands or your feet, genital warts, but some of them will cause cancer. HPV16, which is one of the 200, is more of a cancer one, and it's one that you got to be really careful with. In fact, HPV16, the human papilloma virus 16, is the most common of the high-risk papilloma viruses worldwide, and it is very powerful, and it can promote cancer development. But again, it won't happen if the body is strong, if the immune system is strong. So what you want to do is you want to make the body strong, and the immune system is strong. They want you to think you need an injection, a V for it. And you know what? If you're not going to take care of your health, maybe take a V, but that's not foolproof either, the V. So yes, HPV16 is responsible for most cases of cervical cancer. Absolutely. In fact, also anal cancer. HPV16 is associated with that. And also now, lately, last maybe 10 years or so, it's become a significant cause of head and neck cancer, particularly of the tongue. So it is a serious, serious problem. But again, that only happens in immune compromise. So if you're immune compromised, if you have metabolic syndrome, if you're on an immune suppressant or a steroid drug, if you have a lot of other immune problems that are increased immune load, if you have digestive health issues, which can cause immune issues or can be related to immune issues, yes, you might want to consider the V, but that's not foolproof either. Although it can be, that's something that you might want to consider. And again, I should also say that just because you have HPV doesn't mean you have cancer. It can be associated with cancer, but you can have HPV without cancer. HPV16 in particular is one of the more notorious of the papilloma viruses.
So what should we do to
her mother wants to know what to give her.
Now, does the patient have HPV?
Yeah, she's had a cancer smear and she's come up with that HPV, and her mum's called me and said, what could she put her on our products?
Immune boosters, anything for the immune system. Ultimate Selenium, FucoidZ, the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, Restart Your Life, Body Balance, CFX, Zinc FX, all immune system stuff. And then address metabolic syndrome issues, number 1, and address digestive issues, number 2, and look for what are called comorbidities. That means other health challenges. I know I've said this 100 times, I'll say it again. Bob Ross, right? If you put a dot in the middle of the painting, that doesn't mean anything. But if you put a little line here and a line there, all of a sudden you start to see things emerge. So get dots, get sample points, data points. Data points in this case mean other symptoms and other health challenges, and they're always there if somebody's unhealthy. We don't always see them, especially in the digestive system. People don't always notice them, or they don't associate them as being problems. I get letters all the time. Just go on Saturday. Oh, my wife had her thyroid taken out, and she has gallstones, but she's perfect. She's healthy. I want to know what we can do for her psoriasis or something. I forgot what she has. In other words, the patient, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but the patient didn't recognize that she had her thyroid taken out. Clearly, there's something up. There's something was going on. But to this person, his wife was healthy. She just had her thyroid taken out. So sometimes we don't make these connections between other issues and general health. So for somebody like that, I would do a complete health interview, ask her about her digestive issues, ask her if there are digestive issues. I wouldn't take her word for it. I'd ask her to go find them. This is what you have to tell patients. You have to say, listen, I don't want you to make things up, but it's in your interest to find them because now you have a place to work. You can't work on human papilloma virus, right? You can't just spray the human papilloma virus or something, but you can work on the immune system. And if the immune system is compromised for leaky gut, now you have a place to work. Or if she has metabolic syndrome, she has a dysglycemia, disturbances in blood sugar, now you got a place to work, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ben.
You guys see how this whole game is being played here? And it's kind of like, it's forensics. It's like a game. It's like a puzzle, and that's how you have to look at it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Diane. It was a really good one because you hear a lot of people with it these days. It's probably more than got it than not. Okay, so moving right along in the Q&A.
Moving right along. I have to go right at 7 or right on the hour.
Right. You have to go at 7. Well, we're not going to be here till you're 7.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have a man, I think he's in his late 50s, and he's got bone on bone, and he doesn't want to have surgery. Okay, so
bone on bone.
So in his knees, so he needs to regrow, and he recognizes this. He needs to regrow his cartilages and ligaments.
Bone on bone. Healthy bone and joint pack, of course.
Yep.
Healthy bone and joint pack, and collagen peptides, and TMR shake, and CFX, and Ultimate MSM to start. Also bone broth would help. Drinking lots of bone broth. Of course, polysaccharides. That's very important for the bones, for building bone. Polysaccharides, wound healing. So anything to do with polysaccharides. Of course, Body Balance is polysaccharides. FucoidZ is also polysaccharides. The Restart Your Life, by the way, is also polysaccharides. Beta-glucan is a polysaccharide. And this accounts for beta-glucan's immune boosting properties.
Beta-500, isn't it?
What? Yeah,
the 500.
And that also
which is going to be renamed Beta-550.
Is that going to be renamed?
Yes, and so is the 300 is going to be changed to 350 because they have improved it.
I didn't know that.
Yes, so as the stock runs out, the new is coming in. So it's sort of may not have hit yet.
Okay.
If it hasn't hit, it soon will be. I got that right from the horse's mouth. I heard Steve Wallach talk about that recently. There you go. Anyway, now that same young man's wife suffers from asthma. What is the best way that we can help her naturally?
Asthma?
Yes.
You said the same young man's wife?
Yes.
The young man,
the man who with the bone.
Oh, the bone on bone. Oh, he's not all that young, I don't think. If he's got bone.
But they're younger than me. Okay, they're
younger than me.
I
know. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Most people are younger than us, right? Yeah. So
most people don't look younger.
Asthma is should be regarded as an immune system problem.
Mm-hmm.
The immune system is your defense system. So, first thing you want to do, if you have a defensive response that you want to end, and an immune system means an immune response is a defensive response. Asthma is the end result of a defensive response. If you have a defensive response that you want to end, what is the logical strategy that you want to use to end a defensive response?
Stop
If you
doing
have a
something.
defensive response that you want to end, what's the logical, not medical, logical solution to ending a defensive response? Logic.
Stay
What's
away
the
from the
opposite
things
of
that cause it.
defense? What's the opposite of defense?
Offense. Offense.
Offense, right? So if you
Yeah.
have a defensive response you want to end, you look for an offending agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you have a defensive response, i.e. an immune response, something has gotten into the body and the body is now defending itself. The main way things get, or let me backtrack a second. When we say into the body, we mean into the blood. Whenever you hear the term into the body, that is a synonym or a colloquial way of saying in the blood. The body is kind of a layperson's way of referring to in the blood. More technically, we mean in the blood. So we have an offending agent, something has gotten into the blood. This is really important because anytime there's an immune problem, something has gotten into the blood. I was just reading just Saturday, or Sunday, just read an article about, came out, I don't know, a couple months ago or last month. Autoimmune diseases are now associated with intestinal permeability syndrome, leaky gut. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Now,
officially.
haven't you and Doc been saying that for quite a long
Really?
time?
Oh, yeah. And it didn't only say that, it said a wide range of different autoimmune diseases are associated. Why do you want to wait for these knuckleheads to bless this stuff? You're hearing it here. I've been talking about this for decades. All of a sudden now it's blessed. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for validating this. You know, we needed it. It's logical. Something gets into the blood, it activates the immune system. So asthma should be regarded as something getting into the blood. Of course, that means, unless you're injecting, which most people aren't, intestinal permeability, leaky gut. Now, asthma is slightly different because it's a lung issue, so you could be breathing something, and there are sometimes things that are breathed in the air, through the air, that can trigger that response. But once again, that implies that the immune system is jumpy, that it is spring-loaded. That's where we get into the concept of, and I think I probably talked about this before, of immune load. The immune system is like a camel's back. And you can put one immune assault, say pollen or hay fever on, nothing happens. You can put another immune assault, say food toxicity, nothing happens. But then you put a third immune assault, say histamine from a leaky gut, and boom, this camel's back breaks. So if you take off the other sticks or off the back, you may be able to handle certain things. So reducing the overall immune load is a very important strategy. Wherever there's immune activators, even if they're not causing problems themselves, they could be contributing to this load phenomenon. Does that make sense how I explain that?
Yeah.
The straw that breaks the camel's back phenomenon. So you want to look for immune load. Most of the time, people with asthma will have a history of digestive issues, a history of bloating, gas, food allergies, food intolerances, constipation, diarrhea, and other things. Is this person here by any chance?
No, sadly. No, they couldn't make the call today.
Okay, whoever it is, ask them about other immune, the headquarters for the immune system is the intestine. So almost by definition, if you have an immune problem, whether it's autoimmunity or asthma or eczema or cold sores or HPV or whatever it is, almost by definition, you have a digestive issue because the immune system is headquartered in the intestine.
So this person would be worth doing a food diary.
Heck yeah, everybody should be doing a food diary.
Oh, exactly right.
Everybody who has a health issue should be doing a food diary.
And
in fact, if we knew what we were doing in this country, everybody, even without a health issue, would be writing down foods. We take food so much for granted when our entire food supply has been completely turned upside down in the last 100 years.
Mm.
We went through, as human beings, we ate the same foods for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And in a mere 100 years, we've completely changed our foods. Can you imagine what that does to the body? And what's more, the way the foods have been changed has completely corrupted them and impotized them. It's made them impotent. It's taken out all the nutritional value out of them. And
Yeah,
so we're
there's no
eating
taste in
food
tomatoes anymore.
all in the interest of what's called palatability. Palatability is taste. You know, it's funny because our whole lives, many people's whole lives, most people's whole lives are run by a little tiny postage size stamped area on the tip of your tongue. Our whole lives are run by this little tiny area, which is where the taste buds are on the tip of your tongue. That's where everything, all our decisions are made based on, all our food decisions are based on whether things activate this little tiny nexus of neurology that's on the tongue that makes things taste good. Imagine just think about this and just do what's called a thought experiment just in your mind and pretend you couldn't taste anything. Just pretend. Can you see how that all of a sudden changes all your priorities? You can taste. You would change everything. You wouldn't have to worry about food. You wouldn't have to worry about cooking. You wouldn't have to worry about eating. You'd have to force yourself to eat because you have to get nourishment. But you'd change all your food decisions. You would no longer be subject to the whims of good taste. And by the way, when we eat foods that taste good, because for eons, the prime directive of the body, I'm not sure today, as human beings, our prime directive is to find energy. That's what our bodies, the only thing our bodies care about is to look for energy, because without energy, you can't run the body, right? So the body's main goal is to find energy. And because there was very little energy for hundreds of thousands or even millions of years, there was very little energy. People starved to death all the time. So the body, through evolution, developed this system where when you put energy into your body, when you ingested energy, that's how we got energy. You can't breathe energy. You can't, you couldn't inject energy then. You had to eat energy. So the body evolved a system for rewarding us when we got energy. And the reward is yippee. Your brain goes, yippee, right? Think about this. We all like sweet, right? Everybody likes sugar. Everybody likes sweet. Everybody, babies, old people, middle, adults, people in the middle. Some people can't go anywhere without sweet. But what is sweet exactly? What is sweet? Do you ever wonder what sweet is?
Sugar.
Right? Do you ever? No, I know it's sugar, but what is that sweet? What is the phenomena of sweet?
It gives you energy as a rule.
What is the phenomena that when you eat something, you say that's sweet? Good. What is that though? I mean, okay, it tastes good. Those are descriptions, but what is it? Tricky question, right? It's very important. Obviously, we all love sweet, but what the heck is it? I'll tell you what it is. Sweet is the perception that we get from our brain being happy. Our brain becomes happy when energy comes in. And because we need the energy, nature has evolved a system where we will love energy. And the way it decided to get us to love energy is to make it taste what we call sweet. But what sweet really is a brain phenomenon. It's not a mouth phenomena. Sweet doesn't occur in your mouth. It occurs in your brain. And it's the brain's way of saying, keep eating that. That's the brain. Sweet is the brain, is our perception, our sensation of the brain saying, we want more of that. Keep that coming. Keep it coming. Which is okay when there's not a lot of sweet around, right? When you have to hustle to find it, the brain says, yeah, more of that. And so you'll go out and you'll climb a tree and stick your hand in the beehive, or you'll find a berry, or you'll go hunt for the berry, or you'll find sweet wherever you can, because the brain's saying, yeah, that. And that sweet taste, that thing we call sweet, is really your brain saying, more of that, please. However, over the last 100 years, we have scientifically figured out how to hack into that brain so that foods today hit that brain button without having the energy, or without having the nutrition, the nutrients that help your body use that energy. So we get lots of sweet, and we can't get enough sweet in our foods, and our food system has been completely manipulated to be super high in this substance that our brains can't get enough of. And we can't stop eating it. And because this reward, and it's actually called reward, this reward chemistry is so, it's in such short supply, or it's activated so infrequently because of our day-to-day lives, sweet is a great way to get it. Now, you can get that reward chemistry by other things than sweet. That reward chemistry can be activated by washing the dishes. That reward chemistry can be activated by doing your taxes. That reward chemistry can be activated by getting a promotion, or even getting a job. That reward chemistry can be activated by any accomplishment. That reward chemistry can be activated by successes, by doing things right. That reward chemistry can be activated by living a quality life. But because we don't do things right, we don't live a quality life, we don't accomplish things, we're not exercising, we're not washing the dishes and doing our taxes and cleaning the garage and finishing projects, Ben and Jerry's does the same thing. Or sugar does the same thing, or high calorie carbohydrates, even if they're not sweet. Fats will do it. High calorie fats will do it. So we figured out a way, and it's been made easy for us to get into reward chemistry without having to get complete the projects, to do things that advance us, to get the nutrition that allows us to build our body. We're hacking into it, and we're paying the price for it. And that's one of the reasons why these food companies are so manipulative and so evil. They're hacking into our brains. In fact, there's a place here in Philadelphia in the United States where called the Menel Institute, where they study how to do this, how to create chemicals that they can put in the food to keep you eating the food. And these are chemicals that activate reward chemistry, even if they're not sweet. Sweet's a very easy way to do it, but there are chemicals that do it that you don't even know you're eating. MSG, for one. They have excitotoxins. You don't even know you're eating them. You just know you feel good when you eat them, right? You're like, I don't know what's in this Chinese food, but it sure is delicious. You don't know, it's like, doesn't even have to have a taste to it, but it still activates the brain. Once again, wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. You gotta know what the world is like out here, and you gotta wear your psychic armor, your spiritual armor to protect yourself. And remember, they're not your friends. McDonald's is not your friends. Campbell's Soup is not your friends. And if they're advertising a food on television, if you see a food on television, it's probably not a food that's going to be any good for you. And if it comes in a box, or it comes in a package of some kind, it's almost definitely not any good for you. And if there's a little cartoon character and they're singing a little jingle, run. Don't walk. Run away from it, because there's no cartoons for broccoli. There's no cartoons for veggies. They're always for something that you wouldn't be eating if there was no cartoon, or your kid wouldn't be eating if there was no cartoon. Anyway, that's my high horse.
And that was triggered by asthma.
And that's all triggered by asthma. So work on the immune system. FucoidZ, CFX, which, by the way, CFX is a great source of vitamin C, beta-glucan, or Restart Your Life, body balance. There's a really cool supplement that's really very important for the lungs. In fact, there's a disease called cystic fibrosis, which you may have heard of, which one of its symptoms is mucus, heavy mucus that forms in the lungs. And people who have cystic fibrosis have problems breathing. Asthma is not quite the same, but along the same lines, they give something called NAC for cystic fibrosis. So for asthma, you might want to consider the new Restore and Rise and Restore, which contain NAC.
Yeah, we can't get those here in Australia yet. But
you can't get it.
I know this person is into herbal stuff. So our
do herbs.
a good herb line.
Our friend Kevin can probably help more than me. But slippery elm, mullein, those are herbs. Those are, Kevin, you probably want to contribute here.
Good herbs.
Mullein over here, mate, not mullein.
Mullein. Yeah,
Mullein,
that's what I use. Mullein, is that what you're saying? With
mullein.
That accent of yours, mullein.
Deepest.
I say mullein, slippery elm.
But in the good herbs line, we have
mullein. Did you learn to speak over there down under? That's terrible.
you need to learn to come. You need to come down, and we'll teach you Australian and New Zealand.
I had fun down there listening to you guys with your funky English. Kevin
Oh dear.
Grundy. Kevin.
But yeah,
Where's
so in
Bronie?
our good herbs line, the respiratory, what is it called? Yeah, the
Yeah, the respiratory support. That's really good. I like that. Just got to remember the dosing. The dosing on the good herbs is for international and for misuse, i.e. for children. And over here, we're 5 mils 3 times a day. Okay, that's how we dose over here. And yes, the same as any therapeutic dosing, you know, we do it with the minerals, with the BTT, you know, you just don't take half a teaspoon, you take the dose, and if you're sick, you take 2 doses, and if you're very sick, you take 3 doses, you know.
Okay. All
No
right.
different to
All
a
right.
doctor, isn't it? And the other thing that over here, we have a lot of allergies to dairy, a big issue with dairy over here. And if you eliminate dairy, it's amazing how much of your asthma
Amazing.
goes away and a lot of
Amazing.
the respiratory
Absolutely.
problem goes away.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people who have chronic phlegm in their mouth. They're always going, that's a classic dairy issue. So get people on.
And
Very
that's
good point.
so common down here because New Zealand, Australia,
New
we've all
Zealand
grown
is a
up
big
with
milk.
our style of dairy, which is quite different to your dairy, which is why you guys import our dairy for all your baking needs.
Yeah. Yes.
And
New
so
Zealand way is.
And Doc talks about it, you know, we talk about butter being good, and to a degree, yes, it's got higher burning.
Butter is not. Butter's a little different. Butter's a little different. Butter's a little different because butter contains is a concentrate essentially of dairy that doesn't have as much of the allergens, the immune activators. Butter still could be a problem for some people, but for a lot of people, the nutritional value is so dense in butter, particularly in one nutrient that's especially important for the gut, for the digestive tract. In fact, butyric acid, which is called butyric acid, is a fatty acid. Technically, they call it a short. You know, they have fatty acids come in 3 lengths: short, medium, and long. And it's a short fatty acid that is very, very protective for against colon cancer. Very important for the colon health. It also plays a role in brain health, and it's one of the reasons why the ketogenic diet is so helpful, because it helps your body make butyric acid, and it's one of the reasons why the ketogenic diet can be very satisfying for people, and it's also one of the reasons why fasting can activate satisfaction. And this is why some people, sometimes when you fast, you don't feel like eating, because you're turning on the production of this very important fatty acid, which has a satiety-inducing effect. Satiety means satisfaction. So butter is a good source of butyric acid, as well as iodine and selenium and fatty vitamins. And butter stands apart from ordinary dairy in terms of its value compared to its downside, and milk itself.
It is a balance, though, isn't it? But it is a balance because even
milk
people
itself,
taking dairy will still get the phlegm and everything else. So
even if they're doing butter, but here's the butter: you're not eating as much butter as you are a glass of milk or a couple glasses of milk.
Arguably
right?
Over here.
Arguably that's true. But most people, you're drinking milk.
Cheese is the biggie here. They'll go for a kilo of cheese a week in New Zealand, Australia.
Cheese is definitely a problem. Cheese can definitely be a problem. So yes, that's what I was saying, Brian. That's how I got off on this tangent, is the intestine is where you want to focus on for asthma. And yes, it's true, you can be breathing stuff in, but that's why I'd like to talk to this person, or whoever's working with her, ask her about her digestive health and intestinal health and leaky gut, and look for other things like skin problems, for example, because asthma is often associated with skin problems. And so the reason that's important is because you can use your skin as a barometer of what's happening inside the body. I've been in the skin business for many years, and I tell people to look at the skin as a window to what's happening inside the body. And a good skincare professional can tell more about a person's insides than a doctor sometimes, because they understand the skin, they speak skin. So having this person look at if there's skin issues, that could be another indicator. Digestive issues, work on the immune system, all of those things.
Excellent, excellent. Because they will listen to this program. They just had an appointment today, so couldn't make it.
No worries. Happy to help, and if they have questions, they can always ask me personally.
Yeah. Now I think this lady is on, but she can't unmute, so can't talk. She has pain in the right side, not the upper or lower, in the middle of her stomach. Yes, if that makes sense. she's not sure if it's liver or gallbladder. That happens when she has wind. She has a lot of wind.
Has a lot of wind.
Yes, she has irritable bone syndromes, and it's okay when she's sitting down, but when she lays down on her right side or on her back, it hurts.
Yeah, she has a gallbladder issue. A gallbladder. You say she had a gallbladder taken out?
No, she's just wondering, is it a liver issue or a gallbladder?
Yeah, liver,
issue?
gallbladder.
And
everything.
what would be best? What could she take in
all the digestive support, but most importantly, look for problem foods. You know, as long as you have a stream of toxicity coming into the body, it's going to be difficult to counteract that. So you want to stop the stream of toxicity. Fast, do a food diary, eliminate problem foods. As we talked about, dairy is often a problem, but it could be a lot of things. It could be gluten, flour. Flour is one of the things about flour that people don't recognize is flour is a major source of bad fats. You know how docs always talk about oils and seed oils and don't eat oils, and flour contains lots of these problematic inflammatory fats above and beyond the gluten, even if you're gluten-free. And these inflammatory fats wreak havoc on the intestinal lining. So making sure you're staying away from anything with flour. You guys, if you want to do one thing, don't eat flour. Nothing with flour in it. I know.
Yeah, they're just nice in the garden.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, you weren't talking about that flour.
I'm talking about dough, flour, dough. Yeah, we don't recognize how problematic.
There's a difference between flour and flowers.
I know.
Yeah,
I just couldn't help myself.
Flowers in your diet.
Yes, flowers are beautiful, but flour is a very underappreciated problem. Not only is it a source of rancid fats, inflammatory fats, but it's also brominated. So it contains bromine, which is a major toxin for the thyroid, which is associated with hypothyroidism. And there's a condition called brominosis, which is marked by problems with the skin and problems with the thyroid. So flour is a very, very problematic and an invisible dietary substance that everybody eats. And we even have good, warm, fuzzy feelings about it. You know, bread is in the Bible. So we think bread is bread is bread. No, it's not bread is bread is bread. Flour today is not the same it's not the same flour that they were eating in biblical times or in caveman times or in Paleolithic times. It's completely different. So don't underappreciate the impact of flour. And of course, where's flour? Everywhere. Yes. Can you imagine how much flour we eat on a regular basis? Even if we're not eating bread, it's everywhere. Flour. So that's another thing. These hidden immune activators and intestinal inflammatory agents that we don't recognize, and those are all the things that you got to pay attention to.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
and I'm not saying zero tolerance, by the way.
Sorry.
I'm not saying zero tolerance on all these things. It's on a spectrum. So if you go zero tolerance, you get maximum benefits. If you go, 100%, then you get no benefits. But you can be in between. If you're eating flour 10 times a day and you eat 8 times a day, you're going to be better. If you eat it 5 times a day, better still. If you eat 0 times a day, you're better still. So, it's on a spectrum. You don't have to feel like, there's no way I get off flour, so I'm just going to eat it all day long. Eat less of it.
Yeah.
It's like I can't stay off of the French fries. I can never stop. Eat less of them. Even if you eat 1 less French fry, or 2 less French fries. Or even go between, if you have French fries every day, have it every other day. One of the great gifts of the human body is it heals between assaults. If you're a smoker, between cigarettes, your lungs heal. So spread it out. If you have intestinal problems between gluten or lectins, or whatever it is, your intestines healing. So spread it out. Doesn't mean you have to go zero tolerance and never have a cigarette and never have French fries. Obviously, that's what you want. But don't feel like if I can't go to zero, I'm not going to go. I'm just going to stick at 100. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not doing anything. If I can't reduce it even a little bit, I'm not going to do anything. Don't think that way. Or sometimes people will say, oh, you know what? I'm smoking. I'm eating lousy. I have a hard life. I don't want to supplement. No, you need supplements more. Every French fry you take, you lose, and every cigarette you smoke, you lose vitamin C. I
remember Dr. Schraus talking about cigarette smoking and the importance of taking selenium. So he says, look, I'm not going to tell you to stop smoking, but you should be taking more selenium.
Yes. And vitamin E. Exactly. If you're going to smoke, I have a friend, she can't stop drinking. She's an alcoholic. And by the way, I don't know if there's any alcoholics out there. Oh my God, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
you can't imagine what a nightmare this is. It's horrific, absolutely horrific to watch what's going on with this person. But I'm like, all right, fine, don't stop drinking, but make sure you're supplementing. Every time you have your booze, at least have some nutrition. Of course, you know, if people are that far along, they're mentally, you know, they're not firing all cylinders mentally, so you can't really do that. But the point is if you're going to do the bad stuff, at least do the good stuff to help neutralize some of the problems associated with the bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, as Doc would say, you can't out supplement a bad diet.
You can't out supplement a bad diet. That's true, but you can mitigate a lot of the damage with nutritional supplementation.
Absolutely.
And a
Absolutely.
lot of
All
people
right,
like
I
that.
gotta
It's not so
make
much
sure I'm
the
ready for my
condition.
radio show here, you guys.
Okay.
All
What's
right.
that?
Well, I
Lovely
did have a
talking to
couple of
you.
other questions, but we'll hold them over.
So say that again, Kevin. I didn't hear you.
I said it was lovely talking again. I was going to
Oh,
ask
it's
another
lovely
question, but
talking.
that can
Yes,
wait.
I
It was just a
thought-
comment on what we were talking about. That's all good.
Okay,
But
nice to
much
talk to you,
appreciated.
gentlemen.
Love your time you spend with us,
Thank
Ben.
you.
And we will
I
get you
appreciate
here.
you.
You and I will have a conversation now that the silly season's gone and everybody's settled down and your friends have disappeared back to America. We
All
can
right,
sit
I love
down,
that.
Ben, and do some gas bagging and see what plan we can come up with, eh?
I
Yeah,
love
to
that.
have
I
a
love that. You
live,
guys are
have you
very,
down
you're
under.
very lucky out there, those folks listening, to have Kevin Grundy and Bronwyn and Albert and Diane and Karen. You're very blessed to have everybody out there. I know there's just
We have
non.
a great team. We do have a great community here.
You have
and,
a wonderful community, and I'm proud and I'm honored to be even associated with it a little bit. Thank you so much.
Well, the honor is all ours, let me tell you. Isn't that right, Kevin?
It is indeed.
Thank
And we'll see you in a fortnight.
We will.
Thank you. In a fortnight.
You
God
talk
bless
about-
everybody.
Bye-bye.
So as I
Okay.
ask you all nicely here in Bronnie's world to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you're just taking care of those nutritional and your immune system, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronnie's world. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
for coming to
everyone.
Bronnie's
Thanks,
for-
Ben. Thanks, Bronie.
Bye.
Hi. Thank you, Ben.